we're back in the shop, and I've got the Jeep with me. You guys didn't forget that we had a Jeep, right? Don't worry, the van's not going anywhere. It's at home at Wilder Mountain, having a little rest from its summer adventure, and we've got several trips already planned for it. So I know a lot of you just started tuning into the channel with the van build and our travels this summer. We also have a Jeep and a motorhome, both of which that we fixed up for adventure travel. And today I've got a project in the Jeep. It's fall in the Ozarks. The weather's just cooling off. It's the perfect season to get out and do some camping. And I want to do an upgrade to the power system here. That's what we're going to do today. Get that installed and set up. Now, just a quick reminder, in the Jeep, we are using a portable power bank to power a fridge, auxiliary lighting, charger devices. We've got a little water pump, a few things like that. And we use a Bluetti battery for that. So Bluetti reached out and asked us if we wanted to test out a brand new product. This is the Bluetti Charger1 Alternator Charger. And this is designed to hook directly to your alternator and fast charge your Bluetti batteries, okay? Normally we charge our Bluetti battery off of like a cigarette lighter port, and those ports are usually fused at like 10 amps, so you can do 120 watts on them. Not a particularly fast charge, and we also have to unplug it every time we stop the Jeep. The cool thing about this type of charger is this will hook up directly to the alternator with a really high gauge wire, which means it can pull, I think, 560 watts. Let me confirm that spec. That's right, 560 watts is how much power you can pull from this thing to charge, compared to like the 90 watts that you get out of a standard cigarette lighter plug. So that's really cool. We're talking about charging the battery 6 times faster with this, and it's got some other cool features. Now, this is made for Bluetti batteries, although it does say in the manual that it's compatible with over 90% of other battery manufacturers, though they may not be able to take the full 600 watts of charging. Any power bank that you've got probably work with this. Should be a pretty easy install. In addition to the charger, Bluetti sent us this pre-made battery cable. It's got some really nice wire loom on it. So we've got our positive and negative. It's a 6 gauge wire, so it can definitely handle like something like 75 amps. And it's not fused, but they put 63 amp, which is somehow a standard DC breaker in this line, and so this will trip rather than a fuse blowing. It's actually the same size breaker that we put in the van for our solar panel wires. Looks like it's about 10 feet long, so it should be just enough to get to the back of the Jeep. Let's go take a look. So my plan is to route the wiring to this back corner of the Jeep, which is where I already have an auxiliary fuse panel that we installed in the past. Our fridge goes right here on a fridge slide. We've got some overhead lights. And I think getting to this back corner is going to be the perfect spot to install this. So really it's just a matter of, do we have enough length of cable, and pulling out the panels on the inside of the Jeep, finding a route through the firewall between the engine bay. It's the same kind of stuff you would do if you were going to run like power cables to an amplifier or something like that. I think I figured out my placement and my wiring. There is a rubber grommet right here on the driver's side of the cab. That grommet can be popped out and we can route our battery cables through there, then across the back of the engine to the battery. And I also think I figured out where I want to mount the charger itself. That's going to be back here behind Henry's seat on the support arm of our hook road shelf that we have across the back of the Jeep. I think it's going to be nice and clean, out of the way. It's kind of dead space back there where we don't store anything when we're driving, and it's going to put the charger in an ideal spot to get to where we keep the battery on the shelf back here. I just need to put a snake through there. Found my wire fish. It's come out kind of in a weird spot, but I'm going to route it down probably through the footwell behind the clutch back here, and then we'll go underneath this trim and all the way in the back. might want a cable. See if it goes through. And then hopefully we've got enough cable to make it all the way to the back here. I think I've got just enough, so that worked out perfectly. If I hadn't had enough, what I would have had to have done was either extend the wires, possibly even going to a higher gauge wire because I'm making them longer, or just choose a different routing path. I mean, I probably lost 6 feet of this wire to transversely crossing the engine bay over to where the battery is. But just keep that in mind if you're working in like a extended van or something like that, like our fan, the E350. If we tried to run this all the way to the battery bay in the back, definitely not enough cable with the one supplied with the charger. So just keep that in mind. I love that it came with this nice kind of loom. Never underestimate the power of a giant screwdriver. Essential tool. Hole in this one. I don't think that's going to go back, is it? I don't think there's a gap in that. So we're going to cut one. Under the carpet. The rest of it. Love it. And that's all there was to it. I guess we need to mount the controller next. So wiring this up's a pretty simple job. It's just got 2 ports on it. It's got a charger input port, which is going to take the cables we just ran from the battery, and then it's got a Charger1 output port, which is going to go out to whatever your load is. And Bluetti sent this for the output port, so this will get put onto that output terminal, and then we've got MC4 connectors, which then you can buy many kinds of adapters that will plug into this and convert MC4 to whatever the charging input is on your battery. In fact, you can buy these MC4s and terminate them to anything you want. So I've got some spare plugs. I could literally build my own cables if I needed to, but you shouldn't have to. Bluetti sells all the stuff to hook this up to one of their batteries. And then I decided I'm going to mount this with double-sided 3M tape. That stuff is heavy duty. I don't want to drill any holes in my metal rack in the back right now. And this will let me confirm that I like the placement of it. It's also kind of vibration damping, so I don't have like a metal on metal rattling sound going on. Yeah, and then I'm going to get this installed, then we'll wire it in, then we'll do the battery, then we'll test it. Cool. So that's what that looks like. And this end will go to the power bank that we're charging. This is less than ideal, but I do think that I want to just go ahead and zip tie this. So now I'm just putting a little double-sided 3M VHB as my temporary mounting solution. And there it is. She's mounted. Slightly crooked. Like a Casey job. Now the last thing to do on this end is just connect this inline circuit breaker up. One thing I don't love is that this breaker's all the way back here, but this positive lead's running from the battery across a lot of metal of the body. So anywhere that this would like wear through with vibrations or something, it could short, and I would love to have a fuse on the other end of the wire. So something to think about. I'll probably put an inline fuse on the battery side of this. That is hooked up. All right, breaker's off. Let's hook up the battery side. Working on cars, gotta keep a magnet on a stick. Life-saving. Okay. How you doing? Good, man. How are you? Good. Have a good day. Thanks, you too. Check it out. Bluetti sent us their AC70 battery, which is awesome. They've been great supporters of our channel. I hope you guys like this stuff, because like we get to put these products to the test, prove that they really work. Cables. See if that comes in handy in a minute. Excellent. The XT hookup. Cool. Did it ship with a charge? 58%. Perfect. Now we get to test it out. Let's look in the cord box. So we've got, I forget what this is. I think it's a XT60. So you've got an XT to a cigarette lighter adapter. We've got an AC power cord for AC charging. And we've got an XT to check it out. MC4. This will hook directly up to our charger. Let's go try it out. I took the Jeep up to Wilder Mountain. We've got the AC70 all hooked up in the back here, and it's powering our overhead lights. But most importantly, it's all plugged into the Bluetti Charger1. Now right now the charger's not doing anything, it's just sitting there with a blinking light. I tested this out earlier to figure it out. Basically it uses the voltage of your car's battery system to determine whether to turn off or on. So at rest, we're sitting at like 12.8 volts. And so it's not actually providing any charge at all. But when I go start the engine, and the voltage comes up on the alternator, you'll see this thing come to life. Alright, so we're up and running now. No charge on the Bluetti just yet. Here we go. All of a sudden we're pulling 142, 198, 250 watts off of this charger. Now Bluetti has a mobile app too. On this app you can see both the charger as well as the AC70. So I'll pull up the charger and you can see how we're performing. It obviously works best with a Bluetti battery. But when I go to set the charging voltage, it gives me a list of batteries as well as custom. So you can choose custom down here at the bottom. I picked the AC70, obviously because that's what we're charging, and it sets my charging voltage to 56 volts. Pretty sure it just charges at a fixed amperage. It's just pushing 10 amps all the time. So at 56 volts, 10 amps, we get 560 watts. So you really just have to tune this to whatever battery you're using. If it's a Bluetti one, you just pick it from the list. If you're using this with some other battery that you can hook up with the MC4 connection, you just need to look at what kind of voltage it likes as input. The battery's treating the charger's output as if it's solar power. In fact, when I pull up the app and pull up the battery, that's what it shows, is solar power coming in. And solar power tends to fluctuate in voltage depending on how many panels you have hooked up. So this will take anywhere between 12 and 58 volts. So I can pick any charging profile and it'll charge this, but I get my maximum charging current. Right now we're pushing 430 watts. I get that when I set it to 56 volts. For your battery, if it's not this one, or if it's not a Bluetti battery, you can just pick an appropriate voltage, and if it's less than 56 volts, you won't get the full 560 watts. You're gonna get a lot more than the 90 watts you normally get plugging in a cigarette lighter plug to charge this. One of the things I hated about how we were running our all-in-one solar generator batteries in the Jeep previously was that I was constantly unplugging it from the cigarette lighter in the back of the Jeep, because even when the Jeep's turned off, that thing gets power supplied to it. And so the last thing I want to do is kill our starter battery while we're having dinner somewhere or when we stop for the night and I forget to unplug it. So one thing that's really, really cool about this charger, when the voltage drops below probably around 13 volts, the charger recognizes that it's been turned off, the car's been turned off, and it stops charging. And I can actually show that to you right here on the app. All right, so you can see we're currently pushing 451 watts through the charger at 56 volt. Our chassis battery here on the Jeep is under this kind of load, sitting at 13.6. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna stop the ignition on the car. And you can see what happens almost immediately. Our voltage goes down to 12.5. We're pushing 0 watts out the charger, and the voltage is just slowly dropping on the output side of this. And you'll see that we're pushing in 0 watts. So without me having to unplug anything, I can just set it and forget it. And I read in the manual that the Charger 1 itself does stay turned on. It draws a small amount of power, just detecting if there's a load, and then it turns itself off after 30 minutes. It's just back there blinking. Very slight fan noise. It's very quiet. Use the link in the description below and sign up on Bluetti's website to get 24% off the Charger 1 through October 14th. And at any time, you can use our special promo code WilderCharger1 to get 5% off this new Bluetti product. Well, that's it, guys. I'm so stoked about this thing. It was a dead simple install. I did the whole thing in like 2 hours. And it seems to be really versatile. We're gonna be able to use it, obviously, with our Bluetti here. We've got other batteries we could use it with. I thought about installing it in the van. See, I promised you the van was still here. It's still here. Hello, van. For the van power system, be prepared. We're gonna be upgrading that further and further. I don't wanna rely on power banks inside the van for our next trip. So very, very soon we'll be upgrading that with alternator charging, but also an inverter, and it'll be a totally different system. Very excited about that. Some trip updates. We're gonna be taking the Jeep out to test out this battery system very, very soon. I've got a cool spot I wanna go check out in the National Forest. So we're gonna get this thing out and do some camping in it for the first time in what seems like forever. We've got some plans for the van as well, though. We're gonna be taking it on a trip soon. Actually, we're taking it to Rendezvous in the Ozarks, which is an overlanding festival here in our backyard in Northwest Arkansas-ish, about an hour from here. That's gonna be like 4 days of overlanding, and they're doing guided trail rides, all kinds of stuff. There'll be a lot of vendors there. Really, really excited about that. And they've invited us to their storytellers group, so we'll be there with some other content creators so that you can come hang out and camp with us and meet us. And I don't think we'll be taking the Jeep. I think we'll be taking the van. We might take both, but we're definitely taking the van. We're gonna be camping in this Jeep soon, and when we do, I'll give you a more in-depth look at this AC70 battery, and we'll see how it performs with this charger in the real world, out camping, running our fridge, and everything we do overnight. Thanks again to Bluetti for sponsoring this video and being big supporters of our channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you're excited to see us get out in the woods in our own backyard this fall. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.